Okay, so I'm just an idiotic, stupid dog, but I'm going to have. Remember when Bill O'Reilly had that waning end of the hair follicles of his life? When he had almost like that Jason Segal kind of a ponytail, embers, or not embers, but waning, whatever you would say, the last vestiges of their hair. It's kind of soft and feathery because it's wispy. There's not much life left in there. They're kind of rubbing mascara pencils around the outskirts of it to try to enhance its amount of scalp coverage. I'm going to have a spaz out. Just the same way Bill O'Reilly did back when he still had enough hair to get away with it. When he was a young 6'6" dweebus. He said he's had a big old spaz out on his team because something was wrong and Bill had had enough. Bill let him have it. I'm going to be letting my team have it because let's get this straight. The dog is the A side. All the adherents, they can make their contributions this, what, or the other thing. But, we don't answer. This ain't the King Cobra Rules knock-knock joke hour. The dog, some yappity dipshitted yahoo, and it had to either be the man in his capacity as, second string producer, or perhaps the producer, or couldn't possibly be the writer girl, or our previous producer that we have fired it from the beginning. He's like the producer Pete Best or whatever from the Beatles situation. He's the forgotten producer. Some producer, King Cobra Rules. He listened to the take and he had a snide riddle. Now, my first response was, and I immediately communicated to the producer that I'm, whatever you would say, acknowledging as the producer. I said, here's my response to what do we have in common, the dog, with The View and Keith Olbermann, that we're all big Liam Neeson fans. So that would have been a succinct blithe retort. What is the producer or whatever that Yahoo anonymous? No one's taking responsibility. He says, I don't know what the King Cobra Rules. No, this ain't the knock-knock joke hour. We don't answer. We don't, listen, we ask the questions. We don't answer the questions. Maybe we need to get, I'm going to ream out whatever nattering nabob answered that question. Let me explain this much. Let me, the dog, step in. What do we have in common with The View and Keith Olbermann and mainstream media? I don't know, King Cobra Rules. First off, how old are you? Because I wouldn't know, and I'm pretty old. So I wouldn't know, couldn't have a fathoming inkling of what they ever said on The View. And if I ever listened to The View or knew what they said on The View, I would probably take one of those slathing things where they whip themselves on the back to scourge themselves because they need to get straightened out. They're sinning, so what they do is they whip themselves. If I watched The View, I might scourge myself. But I know damn well if I had carved out a precise Just Joy Behar following or paying attention situation, I would definitely have a cat of nine tails and I'd be scourging my ass. I don't know what they say on The View or what Joy Behar says. I know what Keith Olbermann says for 10 minutes once a week when he's on ESPN. The mainstream media, again, what do we all have in common? The dog would like to say this much. I think whatever we say is instantaneously disseminated into the great vacuous expanse of nothing, divided down into an infinitesimal thing until it's disappeared. Is that what we have in common? I think that's whatever. But, this is a couple things I'm going to point out to you, okay? Joy Behar is 80. 80? Who would you rather have as president, Joy Behar or Joey B? You think about that for a second before you answer. She is a reoccurring Emmy nominee. So what do I have in common with Joy Behar? I hope one day greatness. Unrealized potential, perhaps. And then you want to say with the Keith Koberman or Oberman, whatever this guy's name is. I looked it up because I never really heard of him before. I get him confused with the other guy that shaves his head and looks like a cancer survivor that can't quite shake, the last vestiges, whatever. Edward R. Murrow. So Keith's got 3 Edward R. Murrow Awards, Ace Award, and 11 golden mics. So what do I have in common with him? Nothing. I ain't done shit. And this guy's an accomplished whatever you would say. It's okay. But other than the fact, well, it doesn't even matter. This is one thing I do want to, we should not be answering the adherents. We should only be, we are the A side. We only dictate. We only come from a period of strength. All right? And my take is that Kingcorbarules probably didn't even listen to the whole thing because it was a nuanced, it finished with a thing, with a zag that you couldn't have possibly said was bias. You don't listen to the whole thing, so whatever. You pick out the one little thing that irritates you. Maybe you could make a pearl for yourself.